you kept blowing up my phone yesterday because I sent you the link to my retrospective.
I loved it.
Video.
Yeah, I can't. When does that come out?
Tonight on Fight Network.
So watch this. Watch it because it's worth it. And it's and I was riveted.
In America. I think it's on Amazon, iTunes. I forget where else because we don't have Fight Network in the States here. So I think it's on Amazon, iTunes, etc.
See, I know you and I know the stories, but I don't.
You didn't know that stuff, right?
I didn't know the. I think when you see it and when you see what you went through in The Ultimate Fighter, but what I didn't realize to the extent was how little training you had. Like you did not train. I mean, when you won The Ultimate Fighter, or you almost did when you were peppering Roy Big Country's face. Yeah, dude, you had probably been fighting for about. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like maybe 16 months.
I had maybe 20 minutes of actual fight time.
It's so nuts.
With,
you came to the game at 24, 25, and you'd never fought really.
No.
And then you win Golden Gloves in Colorado after boxing for 10 minutes, and then you
10 minutes.
Well, and then you're training with Shane and these monsters, but you really didn't. You were in a gym where you were actually training jiu-jitsu and all that stuff for 15, 16 months.
Yeah, not long.
That's crazy. And then you believed in your own athleticism, but then to see you beat Gabriel Gonzaga, who's a true vet, and you did it in 3 rounds, banging it out.
Beat the brakes on.
Beat the brakes out of him with getting behind your jab and all that. Then you beat Crow Cop after. That was the most brutal thing I'd ever seen.
That was a brutal fight.
Oh, my God. When he broke your nose in how many places?
16.
Yeah. I mean, stitches everywhere and just, So you kind of went through. It's a really, really. I'm not going to spoil it because it's important. It's interesting to hear, but
people know though.
You kind of realized that you were very athletic, that you'd beaten these legends and these monsters, and that you were very gifted and surprised everybody. But you also knew that because you just know about life, matter of time before you ran into a big nog or someone with his experience.
I called it the cheat. I said I realized my cheat code was going to run out.
So fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I was so happy because the UFC granted them access to all the fight footage.
Yeah.
Which all these interviews I've done, they really don't have the exact.
Right.
Because you can talk over the fight and talk about it. And they went the Ultimate Fighter footage, the first fight with Chase Gormley.
You can take a punch right to your fucking face. You got punched square in the face by Crow Cop. You got elbowed a ton of times and had your nose shattered. You got fucking overhand righted by Big Country twice.
Twice before.
He hit you behind the ear in that awkward, which is impossible to defend against. And everybody goes out when they get hit behind the ear. But you Especially took 2 fucking shots that spun your head and came right back like, here you go. I mean, it's kind of remarkable. That was the one thing that I came away with. I was like, this motherfucker had very little training. Yep. You were thrown in there.
I think that's why I was so scared.
Yeah, man. Who the fuck wouldn't be? But I then began.
It's like getting tossed in with Navy SEALs when we've just played video games.
Yeah, if you had come to it at 20, you'd be a world champion. There's no question.
I don't know, brother. Who knows? Who cares? I was talking about it on Big Round Breakdown yesterday. I was talking about how, like, I used to, and you know this a little bit. If you want to get me to shut up, and I'm a chatty Cathy, ask me about my fight career.
Yep.
I don't like talking about it, and for the longest, I was more embarrassed about it.
You shouldn't
be.
You shouldn't be at all.
And what I was saying is, like, for a long time,
I know.
Like, let's say your goal was to be a comedian, and since you were, whatever, that was the goal for you to be a comedian. And for whatever reason, you're not up at the Comedy Store.
Right.
You're not at the Laugh Factory. You have no specials. You can't sell tickets. Mm-hmm. Then everywhere you go, people know that, and they ask you about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. And when the goal was to get to the Comedy Store, to get, and for me, the goal when we started was world champion.
Yeah.
I was ranked 15. I've been ranked number 10, number 9. Just depends where you want to, what poll you look at. I've been ranked in the top 10. You know how that feels? Exactly like being ranked number 2.
Yeah.
Unless you were the champion, it's all the same. So for me, I viewed it as a failure because mission was never complete.
Yeah.
So, and for the longest, I don't know, when we started this podcast, I didn't really want to talk about fighting because I had this negative connotation with it a little bit. And then now I just think because I'm in such a different lane, I can look back in retrospective and and I'm successful in this other field now. It depends what you want to call successful, but I'm just doing something different now. I can look back and go, damn, that was cool. For the first, literally probably that, and that just happened in the past 2 weeks maybe,
That's
where I was
amazing.
like, oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the idea that you in any way would be, and I get it. I mean, you set very high standards of yourself. I remember you looked at me one time very quietly and you went, I'm going to get the belt. I got this, B.
Yep.
I got this. And I believed you. That kind of confidence when you had, so little training. You were fighting guys who had been fighting their whole life. You were fighting guys who had been high level wrestlers, high level national wrestlers. Guys who'd been doing Muay Thai and had 30 fights and more than that their whole life. So the idea that in any way you would feel embarrassed. I mean, again, it's very important to keep in mind when you were faced off with Big Country, you had been fighting and training for about 16 months. That's the truth. Right?
Yeah, tough go. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So
that's what you signed up for, though, and I wouldn't change anything.
I'm not saying you would have changed anything, but I'm saying that it's pretty remarkable that you were able to accomplish.
I'm glad I didn't get started earlier
because of your head trauma or what? Yeah,
head trauma. Who knows what route I would have went down? Yeah. I think my background from football and training. It was such a higher level than a lot of these fighters at the time. Mm-hmm. It got me to where I was at so much faster.
You're also a grinder, man. You also break dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, you are. I cannot imagine because it was so obvious that you were the guy who was never going to break, and then you were able to prove your cardio. Not getting tired and stuff. There was a lot of that.
I haven't seen part 2, but I think they released part 1 tonight, and I don't know if they do it the next night or the next week, same time. And part 2 is more about. I talked a little bit about the Fighters Association stuff and then just what I'm doing now.
I think part 1 also shows you just how brutal it was. How fucking truly brutal.
Yeah, most of it was a private link the guy sent to me working for Fight Networks. Where like, what the fuck? But I sent to everyone close in my life. And most of my family cried. I know Joe started crying just because it was so brutal.
Oh, dude.
They didn't realize what was going on.
I got emotional.
Yeah.
Because to see...
So did I. I was watching in my slingshot like a queer. I was watching my slingshot because they sent me a link. Go, here it is. If you want to see, I just got done working out, and I was like, I probably should sign off on it before they air it. So I just went through it, and I get emotional, man.
Oh yeah, me too. Because
what a journey.
The journey and the brutality, and to see, and I know you really well, and to see you dealing with that like. Your fucking eyes stitched up with like 20 stitches. Your nose broken in 16 places.
Imagine.
Imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine because that's not you. So your fucking face, your mouth split to shit. You're concussed. It was. And then like after getting knocked out and talking to the guys and having to hang around the fucking gym in the house.
Oh my God!
What?
That was the worst.
And by the way. At that point, you had no options.
Zero.
At that, and I remember worrying about you. I remember worrying about you all the time because I liked you so much when we were younger. When we first met, when we were boys. But my biggest worry was always because I knew you were special, you were smart, and all that. But and I have so much respect for fighting, but I was always worried.
What the fuck is he gonna do?
What the fuck does he do?
Yeah.
And then to watch, the podcast and stand up and all that, it's been, it's always exciting. But. Man,
it feels like a different lifetime, man. I don't even know that guy.
Yeah,
it's young.
It made me think about anybody who's young who feels like they have no options. At least just if you're going to do it hard, do it full.
Yeah.
And you did. Yeah. And it found that something happened as a result.
Yep.
Scary though too. Also, all that shit riding on, you choosing the toughest guy in the house to fight because of one little thing.
Yep. Crazy.
You saw one little crack. Yeah, it's really cool, man. Really, really cool.
Weird journey. Here we are.
Weird journey.
Journeyman.
Well, guys, I wish I could sing a song based on that weird journey. He's big. His head is shaved. Your nose is different, too.
I looked a little bit different.
Yep.
I went Hollywood
pointy,
and I
cute
got
nose.
I know, and my ears weren't fucked up for my ears didn't get fucked up to probably after Gonzaga. I used to make fun of guys with cauliflower, and then all of a sudden my ears just went
unbelievable.
Troll style. I was like, fuck.
Did that come from just getting punched near, or did that get from
both? Just
rubbing?
nonstop. I was obsessed with jiu-jitsu, so I was doing it so much, and finally just went kikoof.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Do you miss jiu-jitsu?
I still do it with Heather on Saturday mornings every now and then, but no.
Because it was your passion.
Anything about? Well, it's I can't put energy into it.
Yeah.
I have too much.
Yeah. other
You
stuff.
just can't put energy.
Your creativity is somewhere else.
What's so funny is when I was in my going through my fight career, you'd go, do you think you're still going to like box and work out when you're done? I went, I will do jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life, which I will in some form or facet. But you're like, I don't think you will. I was like, you're full of shit.
I knew you wouldn't. Yeah.
It's just, you know.
Well, you're
I'm not going to drive, you know.
You have a lot of work to do in other places, and you're creative, and you're doing other things. So sometimes, you know, I think all of us enjoy discovery. You know, part of like creativity is discovery.
There's no mystery.
Getting better at something and seeing your body change, but also your mind change. Discovering kind of something is a mystery, usually a language. So jiu-jitsu is a language, right? A very intricate language. And once you start to be able to speak that language, and you get a sense of what it would be like to speak that language even better.
You're like, what now?
Now there's a mystery, which is comedy, and your stand-up comedy. What? Yeah. Like, you know, in the beginning you were like, what? I don't even know. I'll tell stories. I'm not a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, and now you're starting to. You're with all of us who've been doing it a long time, and you're in it, and you're like, you're getting it. You're like, oh, I see how you put bits together. Yeah. I see how you know, and that requires a lot of energy.
Everything.
Yeah.